Welcome to the Natural Nation Network here on Synergy Radio. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous day. It's about as beautiful a day as God could make. And then I get to be blessed by having some wonderful, amazing, beautiful spirits in the studio with me this morning. Good morning, Alexis. How are you?
I'm doing great, Oscar. Good morning. Good morning.
Gosh.
Good morning, Houston and San Antonio and everywhere else.
Yes, we are global,
right?
So we just have to say good morning to this side of the world and good evening, I guess, to the other side. Yeah. But nonetheless, it is an absolute gorgeous weekend. Did you all have a great Thanksgiving from your end?
Yes, I ate a lot of turkey and dressing and macaroni and cheese. So today's topic is definitely rejuvenating. I need it.
Yes. Okay. Well, that brings me. That's a nice segue into us wanting to get into our well-being, and we are back with Dr. Tracy and Heather. Wellbeing Simplified. Welcome, ladies. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Gosh,
good morning.
So now, did you all have also, like Alexis, more to eat than she should have over there? I forgot to put the scale in here. Should we put that?
None of that.
No, that would not be right.
Love Thanksgiving, though. I was blessed. I was actually on an airplane on Thanksgiving, much to my kids' chagrin, but we were traveling back from Costa Rica.
Ooh, then that's beautiful. Yeah. No, pura vida.
Pura vida.
Sí, yo nació en Costa Rica. Está bien. Did you dance like some salsa out there?
Oh, you know it.
Oh, my gosh. I need video
margaritas. And we're going to be talking about nutrition today, and we're going to make it real. You know, you can still have your margaritas with salt.
Yes.
Wow. So I was going to say you can have your cake and eat it too, but you can have your margarita and drink it too.
And drink it too. And cake sometimes as well.
Really? Not a slim margarita, just the regular with salt, the whole nine, frozen. Oh, forget
Every now and then you got to have the full thing.
The real thing.
See, I love you guys because that's really what it's about. It's about balance. So we're talking about this next R, and we're talking about the nutritional aspects.
Right.
Yes?
So with Wellbeing Simplified, Tracy and I like to keep it simple and accessible and not overwhelming. You know, this is the way that we live, and we're balanced. So the three big tenets in Wellbeing Simplified are this idea of releasing, then rejuvenating, and then reinventing yourself, your own well-being. And the first R we've covered in the last few segments, and for release we talked about hydration and breath work. And now we're moving into the second R, which is to rejuvenate. So we've released the toxins, and our body's ready to receive. And so we're rejuvenating, and we're starting with the first sub-lifestyle habit under rejuvenation, which is nutrition.
Yes.
And next segment will be meditation.
Yes.
Yes.
Very different topics, but both rejuvenating to the mind and body.
Wow. Wow. So I love that. So nutritionally speaking, we really are in a very perilous situation based on our current food intake, right, and what's being sold in supermarkets and all
Absolutely. It's a huge topic right now. And, I just got back actually from living 6 years in the EU, and they have very different laws, and you feel a lot more comfortable going to the grocery store because they don't allow GMOs. They have much fewer pesticides allowed in their foods. They treat their animals with a lot more respect than we do in the United States. So we have to be a lot more cognizant of what we're putting into our bodies. And Heather will touch on that in a little bit about the importance of being healthy not only in the mind, not only in the body, but also in the mind by nutrition. So really, we, like we've talked about many times before, we take a tag team approach. And so I talk more about the physical aspects of nutrition, and Heather's actually going to talk a little bit about the spiritual, mental, emotional aspects of food, the food that we put into our body. But we're not going to make it hard.
That's a great topic. I love that. I love that.
I know.
I love that. So where do we start in this vastly complex subject on food? Because it's a big deal. The one thing, if you, and I'll just say this, right, if you're an alcoholic, you tend to want to stay away from places where they serve drinks.
Right.
If you're a drug user, you stay away from. But people have food addictions, and food is always around us somewhere, especially this time of year.
Oh my goodness!
Really
It's like from Halloween all the way to Easter.
Yes, that's true.
And then you're traveling possibly over the summer, and it's hard to stay on a balanced diet.
Yes.
But what we want to start with is stopping the focus on, like you would have to do as an alcoholic, what I can't eat, and let's focus on what you can eat and what you should eat. And if you fill yourself up with good foods, you're going to be less likely to overeat the bad food. So, like Heather said, we're all about balance. And I ate a big turkey dinner. I had stuffing. I had everything. I had cake. I had all this stuff. But I eat well around those things, and I made choices. And I made sure that I had my vegetables first and those kinds of things.
Yes.
So our main focus with the nutrition aspect is increasing vegetables and fruits. And I say vegetables first because vegetables are significantly more important overall than fruits. You should eat both, but people tend to think, well, if I have 5 servings of fruits, that is my fruit and vegetable intake of the day. And it's not. You can't get all your nutrition, you won't get all your fiber, and you're getting a lot more sugar. So let me start by talking about a study. There was a great study by the University College of London, and it's the first one that has actually definitively shown that fruit and vegetable intake decreases death rate significantly. So what they did was they put people in different groups. They had 1 or fewer servings of fruits and vegetables a day, and then like 1 to 3 and 3 to 7. The big line was at 7. So if you have 7 or more servings of fruits and vegetables a day, but mostly vegetables, fruits and vegetables a day, you will have a 42%, or the people in the study had a 42% less chance of dying from anything.
From anything.
Wow.
42%.
I like that.
Just by getting 7 servings
huge.
in a day.
Right.
And it sounds overwhelming because the average American has, like 1 serving a day, and it's usually
maybe
French fries.
2. Right.
Maybe 2.
And it's usually ketchup.
Maybe some.
And it's tomato really a vegetable.
I know. There were some important things about this study, and one was, significantly more benefit from vegetables. The other is fruit juice does not count at all. There was no benefit to having fruit juice.
So why is that, do you think? Do you think it's because it's not with the skin, which we say with the fruits and the vegetables, the skin maintains most of the nutrients, and when we juice, we kind of take off the skin and then put the vegetables or the fruits in it?
Well, this was processed fruit juice. So this was fruit juice that you would buy off the counter. It wasn't, you're not doing it at home.
Okay.
But that's a huge part of it.
Sugar.
And the other is they pasteurize it. So they destroy all the nutrients. So they're taking away all the fiber, all the nutrients, or not all the nutrients, but a good portion of the nutrients.
Right.
For instance, orange juice, it says, the daily value of vitamin C is whatever, 100% for a cup of orange juice. I'm just throwing that number out. I don't know what it is in a cup of orange juice, but that's when it's freshly squeezed.
Right.
It's been sitting on the shelf. It's been pasteurized. That stuff depletes
So tell us
quickly.
what pasteurization means for those who don't know.
Heating to a certain point to kill bacteria. So it makes things last longer. That's why you can put it on the shelf.
Wow.
And it's needed if you're drinking dirty milk or dirty vegetables, right? You don't want to get bacteria,
Very true.
which could be very serious. But if you know that you're sourcing your food and your dairy from clean environments, then the pasteurization, it's like an antibiotic. You take an antibiotic to kill the bad stuff, but it also kills all that good bacteria in the gut.
Right.
And so pasteurization is killing off a lot of the good stuff.
Good
in
stuff.
juice.
And the enzymes, too.
And the
Exactly.
enzymes,
The
digestive
enzymes,
enzymes.
the good bacteria.
So I
all
don't
that
want
stuff.
anyone to hear that she said not to juice.
Absolutely. I'm a huge
Right.
fan of juicing and juicing
Yeah.
vegetables. You can add a little bit of fruit, and that's a whole show in and of itself.
Right.
Yes.
Huge fan of juicing, fresh juicing, but not of canned processed juice. It's on the shelf in the grocery store. Canned fruit also had very little benefit. Guess most of it's packed in sugar anyway.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
it's terrible.
syrups,
Remember
right.
the little
And
cups
syrup.
they gave us as kids,
yes.
and all it was just packed with
cups.
sugary syrup.
I know.
And you're
Yeah.
drinking
And
it at lunch, and you're
yes,
throwing away
yes.
the little mandarin oranges.
I know. You just want the syrup. I know.
With fruit cocktail.
Yo,
That's
I
right.
do
The
that.
fruit
Cocktail,
cocktail, the
that's
famous
it.
or infamous fruit cocktail. Gosh.
I know. I'm
So
sure it's
Tracy,
still around.
with the vegetables, because I have a lot of clients who ask, is it better to eat the frozen vegetables or either the canned vegetables?
That's a very good question. Canned is last option. Frozen, if it's frozen fresh, you actually a lot of times have more nutrition in that than you do in the vegetables in the produce aisle, because some of those come from New Zealand.
Yes.
Or vegetables, you're probably getting them from South America.
Right.
And you have that transit time, and in that transit time, first of all, they're not picked completely ripened. So they're going to be picked underripe, and then they have, a week or more in transit time, so they don't develop all the nutrients on the vine like they're supposed to, and then in that transit time, they lose a lot of the nutrition that they have. I'm not saying not to eat fresh vegetables at all. I'm saying if you're going to get them from close to your house.
That's why they say local is so
farmers
important.
markets,
Farmers
locally
markets,
grown.
yeah.
Excellent choices. Farmers markets are great because they'll pick them that morning.
Yes.
You
yeah.
can grow. That would be ideal if you can grow your own organic vegetables. But that's definitely, that would be my ideal situation is either grow or go to a farmer's market, or they actually have great people that go to farmers markets but will also deliver a couple of times a week to your house. And that can get costly, but absolutely fresh vegetables good, frozen vegetables good, but there are a couple of caveats to what you choose. So we want to get goal number 1, over 7 servings, and we'll talk later on in the show of ways to sneak those in, because that's overwhelming. You think I'm good to get 1, maybe 2 with dinner,
Right.
and then I'm going to touch a little bit on the Dirty Dozen. Have you ever heard of the Dirty Dozen?
The Dirty Dozen?
I thought that was a movie back in the 70s. I don't know. So.
Dirty Dancing.
Oh gosh! Yeah, wait, hey, it's not even Friday, Alexis. Really? Okay.
I don't think it's noon yet either.
It's one of the all-time faves, though. Y'all have to admit.
That's a good movie.
It is.
Different thing. Dirty
This-
Dozen.
so the Dirty Dozen.
Dirty Dozen and GMOs. So those are the ones you want to avoid or only eat organic. So the Dirty Dozen is a group or a list of the 12 most pesticide-laden fruits and vegetables in the American market. And it's published every year by the Environmental Working Group. We'll put it on our website,
Okay.
wellbeingsimplified.com, later today, so you can look at it. But you can get 80% of your pesticide exposure from just eating those foods non-organically.
Oh my!
So it's a big deal. They just spray them a lot because they're typically very sensitive to pesticide or pests, so
That's right.
bugs and such. So
The bugs like the ones we like. So
Oh.
it's the sweet berries. It's
Yeah.
the ones that you
the
can.
thin skins.
Yeah.
Thin skins,
Peaches,
right.
apples, celery, I think was on the top of the list this last year.
Wow.
Strawberries.
Strawberries,
grapes.
blueberries, grapes.
Blueberries.
That
Oh,
includes
my.
wine.
My gosh!
Buy your wine
Gosh! Now
organic.
you're hitting below the belt.
Yeah, well, the
So, folks, well, I'll tell you what, we'll continue the conversation. This is fascinating. So, the Dirty Dozen, we are talking about foods that you have to avoid if they are not organic
Correct.
or properly processed. So, that's important. All right, folks, you're listening to Wellbeing Simplified here on the Natural Nation Network. We are talking to Dr. Tracy Southwick, naturopath, and Heather Goodwin, fabulous behavioral specialist. And we are back. You're listening to the Natural Nation Network here on Synergy Radio. We are spending some quality time with Wellbeing Simplified. We're talking about foods now. Just now, we talked about the Dirty Dozen, and then someone down there brought up Dirty Dancing. I don't know where that came from.
It's a movie.
But I understand that there is another factor. There's the Dirty Dozen, and then what's the flip side of that equation?
There's the Clean 15.
Ooh.
Is that what you're?
Yes.
And so one of the things that Tracy and I like to teach folks, we're trying to be simple about this and to not make food or health overwhelming, is that we understand buying organic can be expensive.
Very.
I mean, fast. And so it's smart to kind of choose your battles, if you will, even at the grocery store. And so if you are cognizant of what the dirtiest in terms of pesticide-laden fruits and vegetables are, Dirty Dozen, we're going to post it on our website, then you can just focus on buying those organic. And then you can save money when you buy the things that are on the Clean 15 list, which we'll also post on our website. And just as a rule of thumb, like Tracy said, the Dirty Dozen are typically going to be the things we like the best too. The sweeter, the berries, the grapes, the things with really thin skins that the bugs can get into and get to easily, versus a banana or an avocado or even a cantaloupe would be cleaner.
Or like a pineapple. That's like armor.
Right.
That is.
You can save money on those. And we eat a lot of avocados in my house, and I don't necessarily always buy organic. They're crazy expensive. But even when I'm buying something that's even with my Dirty Dozen and with my Clean 15, I always clean my fruits and vegetables with a little bit of a natural fruit and vegetable cleaner that you can get at the grocery store.
Nice.
Just make sure it's natural. This one has grapefruit extract, which is a natural antimicrobial and a natural cleaner. And so I just douse it with this a little bit and give it a good rinse. And I just feel better about the ones that are non-organic.
And what's the name of this product?
Well, this one,
Heather?
I've never used this particular one before, but this is the first time I bought this one. It's called Rebel Green Fruit and Veggie Clean. And it's a spray, and I think I got this one at Whole Foods, but H-E-B, Kroger, just look in the produce section, and you can, and just make sure that it's natural and you can pronounce all of the ingredients, and you're probably good to go.
Wow, that's a good idea.
You can also soak them in baking soda. So you fill up your sink or a big bowl, submerge them in water and a little bit of baking soda, and that helps neutralize a lot of the pesticides too. That's cheap too.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So try to focus on, and a lot of times we were talking about this during the break. Back to the frozen versus fresh. A lot of times in places you'd never think you can get frozen organic vegetables for a very good price, like Costco. Not to be pumping out any, but Costco, H-E-B, even Walmart they will have frozen organic vegetables.
I got some wild-caught Atlantic salmon at Walmart.
There you go.
Couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Like the good salmon.
The good salmon. Yeah. Well, I think everyone has to step up their game because it's becoming more sort of pervasive that consumers are becoming aware that we have to get off of all these chemically laden foods. There are companies out there that specialize in putting all these growth hormones and these pesticides on our foods. And unfortunately, some of these companies have giant monopolies.
Oh, yes.
And we are susceptible to illness as a result of that.
Right.
Yes, and that's true. And that's the one thing, too. I think that we definitely can start spending more when it comes to the health as being proactive instead of having to be the reactive and go to the doctor. Like I always say that your health is your wealth. If you take care of your health on the front end, you won't have to spend so much in the future as far as medical bills and how all that adds up because we're not making the health priority.
Absolutely.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Is that the saying?
That's right.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah,
very
that
much.
proactive prevention, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming. It's just little things every day. And so should we talk about maybe how to keep it simple and how to get those 7 servings
Let me add one more
into your body?
Let me add the second caveat to the vegetable consumption, and that's GMOs. I'm pretty passionate about this too, and a lot of people go, "Oh, but that's how we're going to feed the world." Speaking of monopolies, but one of the things that people don't understand about genetically modified foods is they are engineered so that you can spray them with huge quantities of pesticides. So what scientists who are pro-GMO say about this is, well, there's something that inhibits an enzymatic process in bugs that kills them. In this, it's called glyphosate, what they spray on most genetically modified foods.
Roundup.
Glyphosate, glyphosate inhibits an enzymatic process in bugs when they consume it and they die. And that humans don't have that enzymatic process, but our gut bacteria do. So our gut bacteria is dependent upon that enzymatic process to live. So when we're eating foods that are doused with glyphosate, it actually kills the good bacteria in our stomach, which is up to 80% of our immune system.
Wow.
So,
and 90% of our neurotransmitters.
Exactly. In the gut.
All of those good bugs. We are more bugs than we are human cells.
Yeah, we are 10 times.
So it's
So it's really, really important to nourish the gut bacteria. When we're eating GMO foods, we're actually essentially spraying pesticides on our intestinal bacteria.
So that's fascinating. That's a really interesting point. So then, do you counteract that with probiotics? Is that the...
You do, and also by avoiding GMO foods. So
Yes.
there are four kind of big ones that are in the fruit and vegetables section. Those are ones, along with the Dirty Dozen, that you want to try to eat organic, because if it's organic, it cannot be GMO. As of right now, our law states can't be GMO. So sugar beets, which is not the same thing as a red beet that you would get in the supermarket. Sugar beets are what they make white sugar out of. Corn, which is a big one, because corn syrup, another reason not to eat high fructose corn or drink high fructose corn syrup. Tomatoes, which is in a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And squash, believe it or not. So those are the ones, and those are pretty, in almost every grocery store you go into, you'll be able to find organic squash and organic tomatoes because they're such high demand foods.
are those on the Dirty Dozen?
They are not.
By
Because
okay, so
they're
add
not.
that like dirty 17 now.
Right. I know.
Or dirty. No, I did my math wrong. Dirty 14.
So we do. So try to avoid those and the Dirty Dozen, and not avoid them, but avoid them unless they're organic.
Right.
And then, most importantly, even if you can't avoid them, it's still important to eat them. So I'm not saying don't eat them if that's all you've got. Still eat them and counteract with probiotics.
Yes.
Because that'll help your body detoxify as well. And then let's work on getting those 7 servings in a day.
So the one key thing, Tracy, that you're saying is when it comes to reading labels, I tell a lot of my clients to start looking at the labels, know what you're putting inside your body. So the key thing that you're saying is to read where it says no GMO.
Exactly.
So a lot of them, I know when I go buy chicken, a lot of them that I look for on the labels to read no GMO. And so just start reading more labels, just start becoming
Aware.
More aware of what's going on.
Absolutely.
Inside your body.
So, which is a very good point. So in the few minutes we have remaining in the segment, what are some of the psychological, emotional aspects?
Yes. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So, when we eat dirty foods, when we eat meats that have been treated inhumanely, that have been in captivity, that have been fed themselves dirty foods, we are ingesting literally that low vibration into our body. And so it's pure science, because everything is made up of a vibration. Everything's made up of energy. And if we believe that energy is contagious, if we are eating low vibration foods, pesticide laden, animals that have been treated inhumanely and fed, let's say, pesticide laden grains, then we are literally eating low vibration food. And so not only physiologically is that going to, like, let's take the stressed out cow or the stressed out chicken, that's cortisol. Their stress hormone is up. They're probably their entire life. And so we are eating high amounts of that cortisol. And so cortisol is going to put us into fight or flight, and it's going to help us fly out. It's going to make us fly off the handle. It's going to disable our emotional regulation capabilities. So that's just one example. There's a lot of people that believe that even when you're cooking food, there's the idea of why do we say a blessing? Why do we pray? Before we eat, and it's whether it's a spiritual act for you, which hopefully it is, but it's also, if you think about it, it's kind of a smart physiological act, because if we bless our food with high vibration words, and we talked about that last segment.
Yes.
The first segment, putting words on your water receptacles, because words carry vibrations. So if we bless our food, even if they're on the Dirty Dozen, you're raising that vibration. If your intention while you're cooking is high and filled with love, you're raising that vibration of your food, literally.
Yes, I love that. Because we remember Dr. Emoto with the water issue of how it changes vibrationally.
Right.
So we can change the vibration of our food by our intention, how we prepare it, and how we source it.
and how we source it. And so, I mean, the best case scenario would be to eat the good foods that Tracy's talking about, that are non-GMO, that are organic, that are, clean, non-processed foods. And if you are at a restaurant, which we go out to eat in my family a lot, and you're not at Ruggles Green or True Foods or one of those, that has a little more of a decent selection, and we love our Tex-Mex in my family, say a blessing over your food.
Right. See,
and eat it with love and intention.
Just to add with that, Heather, is like we always say that it's just how you eat is just as important as what you eat, right? And how you eat is what you're saying, the state of mind, being in that calm state before you eat your food, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you. You always add such brilliance. So you said the word that we would be remiss if we didn't say it, and that's that mindfulness piece. Yeah, bringing yourself, enjoying the food.
Right.
Being grateful for the food. Gratitude is one of the highest vibration emotions out there. Being grateful that you have food to eat, and bringing that mindfulness, that awareness, smell the food, taste the food, be present in that moment with that gratitude and that high intention. So that's one way that you can. There's a million other things to that, but we don't have a million minutes.
we need it though. This is good conversation. So, folks, you've been listening to Wellbeing Simplified, and for those who would like to reach out, you can go to wellbeingsimplified.com, and you all will have both the Dirty Dozen and the Clean Lean 15. I like 15. I was born on January 15th. That's a good number for me. Yeah.
Well, and we'll also put some recipes on how and ideas on how to incorporate more vegetables into your diet, because it is overwhelming, and we tend to be eating the same thing over and over again, but there's such a wide variety of fruits and vegetables out there that you'd be surprised at how you can enjoy.
Absolutely. All right, folks, to reach out to Wellbeing Simplified, give them a call at 713-861-6777. That's 713-861-6777.